Hello, this is Becca with Willow Hill Designs, and welcome. Today has been a rainy, cold day today, and I looked out and it was snowing. So I was very surprised to see that, November 10th. I do love snow, but it's a little bit too early for snow, although it is good stitching weather. But I'm sure it won't stick. It won't stay. It's just a little dusting out there. But so I'm back with Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, Volume 8, and it is the Gathered Things quilt. And the prompt for this week was a thread painting. And so let's see, where's my block? Here's my block here. And because we have all of these prompts, and I'm not doing the large coverlet, the one piece, I'm doing all blocks. I have all these blocks, and so now I can lay them out. With 15 blocks, there's only 5, well, we have the new prompt, so 4 after the new prompt left. So I have a pretty good idea now of how I will lay these out. I won't share that just yet. I'll share that when we're all done with all the blocks. Pardon me. So that helped me to decide what to do for this block. And so because my blocks are rectangular, well, I should say that my blocks will be bordered by these hand-pieced blocks by some unknown quilter. I'm sure she was very sweet. You know how you just get a feeling about something, but these blocks were all hand-pieced by her, and I just quilted them with a big stitch quilting on them. So these will border my little blocks in the quilt when it's put together. So I definitely wanted these in this piece, in this little quilt. And so these blocks, I had to square them up or down to 6 1/4 inches. And so that measurement was important. But I didn't want to do squares for the blocks in the interior. I thought that that might be kind of boring. So I did some math, knowing that we had 20 prompts and I would have 20 blocks, and so they had to fit within these little hand-pieced blocks by this person. So I did the math and I figured out that blocks of this size would fit inside that border of the hand-pieced block. So that's why they are 6 1/4 inches by 5 this way, and they will finish at 4 1/2 by 5.75, and those blocks will finish at 5.75 as well. So after doing the math, this was the size block that I came up with, and so that nicely gives me 20 blocks, and hopefully everything does fit the way it should. So after laying out the blocks in what I thought was a pleasing design, pardon me, I'm so sorry, I have allergies all year. If it's not green and flowering things, it's mold in the wintertime when we have snow or rain. So I do apologize. It just seems to be my little gift. But so the reason that I decided to make this block was because I was looking at this one and I thought what would be interesting to be put with this block to kind of continue the flow and have sort of a continuity between the blocks. There's 20 prompts and they're all different, so to keep continuity is a little bit hard and maybe not even necessary. But my blocks go 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row, and then 5 rows down. So this was number 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this these are both blocks at the beginning of a row. So that's what informed my choice for this block. And if you can see, the green hanky on the right flows into the this next block. And I'm just looking at the word on here, Secret Garden, and I didn't think to add something, maybe a word to this one, but I think I may do that. I'll have to look and see what I have. But anyway, so that is what informed my choice with this block. So I'll just pop this one back in here. Let's see, what is this, 5? Right here it goes. Okay. I think I have the order chosen. Excuse me. So for this one, I chose the one, actually 2 hankies. This one, which is a circular hanky. I have never seen a circular hanky. I think this is absolutely beautiful. And hated to cut into it, but same thing with the other one, but I guess it's better to use them than tuck them away somewhere where they're not seen. And this, and they're so gauzy and so light and delicate. And this one is used on this side that ties into block number 5. So those are the colors on there. And then lastly, I just thought I would put peeking out here, Peter Rabbit, and I used this fabric. This is kind of like a toile, I guess you would say, Beatrix Potter fabric, and I love this. This has Peter Rabbit images and Benjamin Bunny, and just Farmer McGregor's garden where they shouldn't be. But it's just such a beautiful fabric. I love it, and it, I felt, didn't compete with these hankies. So I'll just bring it up closer. So on this one, and you can see the difference in just the thread painting that it makes, and there's just 2 colors here. There's blue and there's green. Green's blue. So that's all I decided to use on this side of the hanky. And I used 1 strand of floss with this, just because the hanky is so delicate and I didn't want to do too much coverage on this flower or these flowers. They look like daffodils. So I just did long and short stitches on those, and some French knots in green, or these are French knots in green. And the leaves are done with lazy daisies here, and these leaves are done with straight stitches. And that's about all that I did, really. I mean, that took quite a while to do that. And then here I just did a running stitch with a deeper rose pearl cotton, number 12 on here. Did some up here and did some here. So that one may get lost in the seam. I may have to redo that and bring it over just a tiny bit, but I thought it added something. And then for this side, for these flowers I felt like needed maybe a little more coverage rather than just a straight stitch on them. Although I did do straight stitch on this one up here, and there'll be a seam allowance right here. So you'll only see this much of the flower. But I did do straight stitches there, and I used 2 strands of floss here. I don't know if I have those flosses in here. Let me just check quickly. I can share those. Yes, I do. Let's see. Go in my little basket here, which is nice. Everything is, I have 2 little pin cushions in here. One is in a jar, and I have this taped to the bottom so it doesn't slide around on my sewing table. And this is just a felt ball in a Lancome little lotion jar. That's 1 pin cushion, and this is another one. This is just a napkin ring with a felt ball in there, and so this is very handy. I have everything that I need right in there. But let me pop these blocks back in there. It's easy to just grab my little basket when I want to stitch. This is an Aurifil thread, and it's I think it's 6 ply, and I just used the 1 ply for this, so that's the Aurifil thread there. And for the green on the leaves, I used this DMC floss, and that seemed to match fairly nicely. And then I used, let's see, no, I used that same light green in there as well. And then over here for these flowers, see, I don't have the darker rose color. I put that away, but this is kind of a deeper, maybe persimmon color, dark peach color. And then this is the lighter color, and I used the lighter color here and in the centers of these lazy daisies and in these colonial knots here, and this straight stitching here. And this darker green I used for this flower and these flowers here. And those are just lazy daisies on those. And up here are some colonial knots. Of course, there'll be a seam allowance there, so I didn't worry about anything up in this area. Same thing on this side. I tried to allow for the seam allowances. And then on these purple flowers, these little purple flowers, which I think are so pretty, but I didn't want to bring purple in necessarily, so I don't need that white. So I just took this light blue DMC and I just did some tiny straight stitches with that light blue on there. And the darker green, again, the same as in here. This is like a seed stitch in here. The darker green on these little colonial knots on these flowers. And this lighter peach color colonial knots on the green flowers here. And this is just done with a rose colored, I think it's Finca floss. Here it is right here. Pop that back in here. This is a Finca. Oh, my little label is going on that, but this is just a number 12. And this is this color, this running stitch here, just to kind of give it a little accent. And then along here, along the scallop, there's kind of a loop-de-loop that goes around the scallop. And I did a little tiny straight stitch with that same rose-colored pearl cotton here and here, so they kind of tie in. And again over here, but I think that may have to be moved over this side. I think this one will be fine. We'll see. We'll have to see. But I may add a word to this. That would be interesting. I'll have to look through and see what I have. And I have finished 3 of these hand-stitched borders. And these borders will go around the quilt like this. I'll be using these vintage blocks, which let's see, is that in the frame? There we go. I will be using these vintage blocks, which I absolutely love. Just treasure them. I think they're a treasure. I'll be using these, and this will border these blocks, and of course these blocks will border the hand-stitched blocks like that. Let's see if I can move that up like that. So hopefully they'll all kind of, everything will work together in the end, let's hope. We don't know at this point, but so I have 3 of these done, and I'm working on the 4th one, so I think they will give it a very nice look. And there may be another 1930s fabric around the very outside of this, maybe just a little border to finish that all with these as well. So I'm really happy to be, this is my last one of the 4. I have about that much done, about not quite half of that one done. So that was a concern. I thought it was important to make sure to get these borders done so that when all the blocks are done, I can assemble the quilt. I'll put that on top. I'll put this all back in my little basket here. I'm done with these flosses, so they can be put away. Got my little hoop here in case I need it. And as I said, this is just so easy to grab this basket in the evening. And I have everything here that I need, and if I have to look back at any of the blocks, they're there too. And I generally keep these little hankies in here as well. I have a pile of things that I work from in here too, in case I want to add them to a block. I'll put this one back. I'll have to finish that. So that, oh, and I'll just say that I'm also adding, I'm thinking, I should say, of adding a few pieces of hanky to some blocks, just to kind of tie in maybe with the block above it or next to it. I may put that on that block. I may do that. And let's see, this block, I may put this little element on here, on this block, and the block above it, if I put this here, it would make a circle, a little circle here. So I thought that that might be interesting. So I'm kind of going back and adding little elements to the blocks that are finished. So this is this block, and the next block I'm really excited about because I won't show it just yet. I haven't done too much on it, but it's a Disney character, and I feel like it will go with the 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s vibe of this quilt. So I'm not sure, but on that block, I think I'll be using some of the flowers from this fabric, like maybe one of these in a corner, and one of the other flowers on here, maybe this, in a corner of the next block, and also this fabric, which is on one of the blocks I just did. I may use a corner of this fabric too on that new block, but I just think it's adorable. I love it. I can't wait. I've drawn it on there, and I've drawn it on with a brown pen, so I'm not sure whether I will thread paint it or if I will just maybe do an outline embroidery on it. I'm not quite sure, but we'll have to see. But anyway, I'm enjoying that, so that should be prompt number 16. It's right over there, but I can't show it just yet, because that would give away the surprise. But anyway, so this is my block for thread painting, and I will thank you very much for joining me today and wishing you many blessings. Bye for now.